Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with one of the best 135 pounders out there, Raymond Muratalla, who makes his ring return November 2nd against Jesus Compost. First and foremost, before I get into your opponent and stuff like that, I didn't get a chance to talk to you after your big win against a former champion, Tevin Farmer. Um, how did you feel about your performance? How, I know some people were like, great win. It's a world champion, former
Yeah,
world champion, slick, stylistic, kind of first time professionally fighting a guy like that. I know you sparred guys like Lomachenko and Mikey, but I'm sure you heard some critics might have said something X, Y, and Z. How did you feel about your performance?
my performance, wasn't wasn't my best. Like you said, man, he's a world champ. He's slick. He moved around a lot. He kind of did some of his tactics that he would use. But on my end, bro, I wasn't really too happy with my performance, and um and I think it was just due to his his style, just like moving around, hugging. Just I think he was just using his tactics, and I think it's hard to look good against someone that's really like trying to survive.
When the fight, became, in the deep waters, right? Quote, the championship rounds, you started hurting him, you started getting some
Hmm.
shots. And I know people had mixed feelings on the performance because you are, like I said, one of the top guys in this division. So with or without the belt, do you feel that if it had the 11th and 12th round, the quote 12 round championship rounds, you would have shown the world that you could have probably did some serious damage?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, those 2 rounds, that's a lot, still a lot to work with. And I felt like I had him that round, man. So yeah, I think those extra 2 rounds, man, that shit would have. I think I would have put him out.
There's a lot of experience you gain with that, and you're going to be facing a guy who has a lot of experience, never been stopped. I mean, you're a 135 pounder, but you're facing a guy who's been fighting 147, Alexa Roach, I mean, essentially beat the guy who beat Tevin Farmer and, Jojo Diaz, Brian Norman Jr. I mean, he had a scrappy fight with now the WBO champion at 147. So, what is going through your mind going from Tevin Farmer to this kind of like a bigger size pit bull?
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a completely different fight, I think, rather than Tevin. Yeah, this guy, he's a beast, man. He's gonna come forward. I think he's gonna put on a fight. He's not gonna just show up just to be there. He's gonna fight. He's gonna put on a show. And likewise, man, I'm prepared. I'm ready for this. I've been I like all these fights, man. I like these fights that are gonna bring action to the fans and to everybody watching, and I get to show my skill set more.
With the Tevin fight, people assumed you would be like the puncher, the bully going, after Tevin. But in this case, you think we're able to see, which you've had shown in the past, but you're more of your boxing side with a guy who's essentially big, probably rehydrates to maybe 160 fight night, and he's going to come after you, or you're going to see some of those skills.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm gonna fight how I fight, man. Do what I do, and yeah, you guys are gonna see a lot more skill set that I have, and I think it's gonna come out.
Now, obviously, we're not looking past the opponent. We saw, Saturday, Tim Tszyu was, I wouldn't say looking past his opponent against Bakram, but, he started saying a lot of names and then he had this
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
tough Russian guy. So I know you're not in that same kind of perspective of like thinking past, but I do have to ask because in three of the sanctioning bodies, you're ranked like number two in like three of them. So it's at this point, next fighter two has to be maybe like a world champion, right? Because you got William Zepeda, who's fighting essentially the guy that you just fought, right?
Hmm.
And then at that point, the three sanctioned bodies, you got Shakur. So William goes to one. And if he does become a champion, you're pretty much the mandatory for Lomachenko or Dennis Berinchenko, right? So
Yeah.
if you could pick and choose, like what direction would you want to go?
I mean, if it's up to me, man, I really don't care, man. Like you said, I'm right there, man. I'm up next. So whoever I get the opportunity against, man. The only one that really mentioned my name was Barichek, and I would really like to go that route, man, and fight him. But I mean, I'm open to anything, man. I'm open to anything.
What do you think about Berinchenko as a fighter who fought, what many people felt was like a pound for pound fighter, Navarrete, and had a scrappy kind of fight to
Yeah.
give him a loss?
I think he has an awkward style. I think it doesn't it's not like your average style that you see. But but like I said, man, I'm good at adapting and I think that'll be a good fight we'll put on the show and I think that'll be one to make.
Do you think that Lomachenko, who has one of the belts, is going to keep that title? You know, and if by chance, if he decides to retire, which some people feel like might be a possibility, would you be open to fighting for a vacant title in that case?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. If he decides whatever he's gonna do with that, then like I said, I'm up next. So let's get something going.
Now, I know there's been a lot of back and forth between you and Keyshawn Davis, which essentially I understand when you make statements like, you know, you're trying to go ahead. You're going to Keyshawn essentially backwards based on like there's champions like Shakur and like Tank and Lomachenko. So that trajectory makes sense in your eyes, right? But
Yeah.
he's ranked number three. You're ranked number two. And at some point, like
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
guys have to meet. So if it's the IBF vacant, Lomachenko retires, and you and Keyshawn agree, you know, like hey, or you get a title and he becomes the mandatory. Like,
Yeah.
are you seeing that fight actually happening pretty
Yeah, of
soon?
course. Yeah. Yeah, of course, man. Like you say, he's right there, he's right behind me. And like I said, man, I really don't care, bro. I'm here to fight. You know what I mean? So if we gotta fight for a title, or either like you said, if I become champion and he's mandatory, then let's make it happen. I'm not ducking nobody, man. I'm here to fight.
You know, that whole division just completely just changed. Like Devin, Teal, all those guys, Ryan, they're gone. So like
Yeah.
seeing the fact that Tank is still around though, and he hasn't fought those guys yet. And you know, and Shakur just kind of entered the mix in this way, becoming a champion. Do you at some point a lot of these guys want Tank, the big name, you know, big do you think that Tank will come across your plate? Maybe you guys will have an opportunity to fight because he's fighting Lamont Roach, and a lot of people are
Mhm.
picking Tank to beat him. Do you see Tank beating Lamont, you getting a title, and you guys having a big showdown later down the line?
Absolutely. I think it's definitely a high possibility that can happen. I do see him beating Roach. And like I said, man, it's just time, man. Time will tell and we'll see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you're smiling a bit right there, just because you know I know that you know, your trainer Robert Garcia has had this infamous continuation or repeat of the Maidana and the Broner, right?
Mm.
And it Tanks Broner's, you know, little homie like big homie. Could you and Robert replicate the Maidana effect against, you know?
I mean, we'll see, man. I can't really say it about that, but hopefully, man, hopefully we get that going someday and I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah. My last question, and then coming back to you and your career, because you know, like I said, all this stuff doesn't matter until November 2nd. You get past your tough opponent. You have a win against Ryan Garcia in the amateurs. You know, I don't feel like a lot of people bring that up, you know, and talk about that. But do you see yourself and Ryan clashing at some point? I know he's probably going to be at welterweight or some strange catch weight, but
Hmm. I
he
mean, it's
has.
definitely a possibility, man. As soon as I go up in weight, I mean, then we could really talk about that, you know. But like you said, man, yeah, we've met each other in the past in the amateurs, and why not in the pros? As
Mhm.
soon as I get up there and weight, um, get it on too.
Are you comfortable at lightweight? You know, like just because I know ultimately you're there knocking on the door to get a world title, but how long do you see yourself in this weight class?
Um, I mean, so far, man, I've been feeling pretty good at lightweight, but like you said, man, as soon as I get an opportunity and get a shot, win that shot, and then maybe go up and we'll go from there. See what's the best move.
You know, ultimately, it seems that William Zepeda is the guy who is kind of like, I wouldn't say like stagnating what happens next, but it kind of seems that based on what he does, kind of creates a lot of opportunities for you. Um, he does fight Tevin kind of as like a filler. Do you think that's a good fight for Zepeda? Because I think they might say like they might match him up for Shakur.
You mean before or after?
I mean, just because he decided to fight Tevin Farmer right after you.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I don't. I mean, not the best opponent to choose. I don't think, but I mean, I'm sure he had his reasons.
mhm. I mean, do you see yourself with Zepeda? I mean, that's like a barn burner. I already see it on the.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, me and him would be a great fight too, man. That'll be a war, and that'll be something the fans would love to see, and I'd love to be a part of.
How did the Jesus Campos fight, materialize? Because, the Tevin Farmer fight makes sense to kind of get you ready for, Dennis could be awkward, but somewhat slick. Shakur clearly slick, defensively. Tank has some of that aspect, but more offense, but he does it. And Lomachenko has a versatility. So Tevin is like a good opponent. He sparred Loma, all these things. But what is the Jesus Campos like? How did that fight come together? I mean, this dude is like big. Like
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how it came about, man. I was hoping to get like you said, man, like a Shakur, a Barachek, a Loma. I was preparing for one of those guys, but I don't know, man.
Do
I
do
don't
you
know.
do you think that there's stuff that you can learn from a compost that can get you ready? Because he's a come forward, strong, tough guy. All these other guys are gonna put a lot of feints and slip around and do all these type of things around.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the experience. Me, man, I'm a fighter, so anytime there's a good fight to put on, I'm with it. So I think this is gonna be one of those good fights to learn a lot from and to show a lot too. So I think it's a good fight.
All right, my last two questions is just in regards of just you get past this opponent, are you hitting straight to the gym? Or are you gonna take a little break? Like ultimately, what is your preparation going into the next year? Are you not gonna take any fights unless it's a world championship fight?
As far as staying in the gym, man, I'm always trying to stay in the gym, stay in shape. Like you said, I'm not a champion yet, so I'm gonna keep training, man. Just keep putting in work. So when my time comes, I'm ready and I'm fully prepared. So man, I'm not I'll take maybe like a week or something like that off and get back to the gym.
My last question's personal. It's kind of like I'm a nerd myself. I play a lot of fighting games. And do you get into any Street Fighters or Mortal Kombat? Have you indulged in any type of those type of Tekken, if
Yeah,
so? Okay.
yeah. When I was younger, a lot. Yeah, I play the Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I played the Tekkens, the Fight Nights. Yeah, I played all those.
If there was a memorable moment, because you're a fighter now, right? Do those things translate? Did you play those fighting games and then you kind of use those same type of mechanics as a fighter?
Um, Not really, but when I would play Fight Night, um, I'd really get into it, like as just being a player or just playing. Yeah, I'd really get into. I remember getting into those games and really like studying stuff. I don't know what I was studying, but I would just picture me like fighting or something. I don't know, but yeah,
Did,
those were cool.
do you like the Undisputed game or is it not up par to what like everyone's kind of saying?
I haven't tried it, to be honest with you. I haven't tried it yet, but have you tried it?
I tried some of the alpha. That was the alpha test, so I didn't play too much, but it still feels kind of dated. It's
Mm.
2024.
Oh, okay.
You want a little bit more. So, but
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
at some point, maybe we'll see you in the game or something, right?
Hopefully, man, that'd be dope. Hopefully.
Well, awesome. Last message to the fans for November 2nd. You want to let them know that you'll be facing a tough come forward, never been stopped. Uh, Jesus Campos on ESPN.
Yes, sir. November 2nd, man. You guys tune in, man. November 2nd, ESPN. We're gonna put on a show for the fans and for everybody watching. It's gonna be a great one.